2.5. Just to tag team on what the pastor said, when he started to describe his community, I was trying to figure out where was Bobo Street in Sterling, because it sounded so much like my community, and it is my community. It's our heritage. It's what has carried on from the beginning of us, and how we carried our families and our neighborhoods from generation to generation. It was always about loving each other, protecting each other, and sharing. When I grew up, just as he did, there were people who were prominent in my community, and there were people who were less prominent. But I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. I didn't see it until I was almost an adult or in high school, when I started to think, this family doesn't have what this other family had. Because if there was a need, the need was met. You know, and so it wasn't about you don't have or you can't. Where we are now, like he said with the laws, you know, I'm forever fighting about grandma's been in this house 50 years. She pays her taxes every year. She knows about how much she has to pay. And people move in next door, build a $500,000 house on both sides of her. So the taxes rise. Grandma's used to paying $600 a month, you know, for taxes. Now she's got a $1,500 tax bill on her Social Security check. So what happens? Eventually, grandma has to move. And what happens? Another $500,000 house comes in. And so my community, my grandmothers, my neighbors are constantly changing. My thought process, again, I say, I love prosperity. But my thought process is, those of us that are in development, construction, and all of this, if we would take just a little bit of what we make, I ain't asking for 10, I don't want the tithe, but if we would just take a little bit and put it into funding, like the land trust, I'm a member of the land trust, where we can purchase property and keep it in the neighborhood to keep our neighborhood. You can still move in there, we want you, but we want you to share what you have so we can all be better.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So one more question, Susan, sort of give us a sense here. You know, we've heard a lot tonight about the issues at hand. Maybe you can, I'm an optimist. I think there's opportunities for us to make a change. Can you perhaps point us in that direction or give us some insights?
I'm with you. There's opportunities, and we want you to please go, and there's some great stories in the report that this piece that is in your chair is out of, but also want to just point out one of those stories. We've got some folks here tonight who are building a type of housing that is for people who are chronically homeless and you've been on the street longer than a year. And Greenville has a great example of how that works and saves us as taxpayers, saves our dollars, and dramatically also saves people's lives, literally, improves their lives. And so please go visit Church Street Place, and then it's based on the successful model called Reedy Place, which saves us about 90% as taxpayers, building smart housing that serves people's needs. So from there, we have other initiatives. I just say real quick, the optimism is we need to be doing this on a larger scale.
Yes.
All of this is really good, but until we get on a larger scale, we can't stop sort of the momentum that's already underway. And so policies, we can do that locally and change that. What that also translates to is because of this deficit of housing, we have 90% of our children and their families who do not have access in Greenville to end their homelessness. 90%. And it's rising every year, and you can see those numbers in our report. So when I talk about scale, it's both, we need it immediately, and we need a long-term plan as well. So when we scale it up, we've got to have real dollars annually, and we have recommendations that show that we need to do that for the next 20 years just to catch up. So please take that message out and support us in every way you can, and support these historic neighborhoods and our neighbors who have built Greenville, and we owe it to them.
Great, thank you. So thank you to the panel. We're going to transition now. Mike's going to lead us to a community room dialogue. Is that
Yes,
nice?
that's the idea. And our panel's going to stay put up here. Y'all can, once they start talking amongst themselves, you may do the same. So I don't know if my yellow dots are going to work, because I think the weather kept some people home, so they're not all filled up there. But the idea was, if you're in a yellow dot chair, that you would turn around and face your neighbors behind you, and try to group into some small groups of not more than about 8 people. And as you circle up, I want you to just talk, to each other about what you've heard tonight that troubles you, and what you've heard tonight that you find hopeful, and also what questions might you have for the panel. And we're gonna pass around some little notepads where you can write those questions down, and we'll have a chance for Bob to ask those questions of the panel. So,
How much time?
so we're gonna give you about 10 minutes to chat amongst yourselves and see how that goes. Again, what did you find troubling? What did you find hopeful? And if you have any questions for the panel, write them on that little yellow pad.
started saying, how you not doing? I mean, the conversation is challenging times, but still. Goodness for me is people like us when say the right thing. Don't watch what people say, watch what they do. So, we need to translate some good words into
Is that similar to the other big housing development on the west?